Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center Ukraine Forum. We continue our operation. I want to thank everybody who joins us online. It's day 268 of heroic resistance of the Ukrainian people, and now we will be talking about the judgment of the court that we were following yesterday live, the judgment on the downed MH17 flight shut down by the Russians. I want to introduce our guest today is Gyunduz Mamedov, expert of national and international criminal law, PhD in law, Deputy Prosecutor General of Ukraine in 2019-2021. In brief, a couple of facts that we all know. On the 17th of July 2014, the armed forces of Russian Federation destroyed the civil passenger flight of the Malaysian Air Force, which resulted in death of 298 people. So, Mr. Gyunduz, can you please comment? Can you give your evaluation on the legal perspective of the yesterday's judgment? How powerful is it? So it's a process long expected, which was this judgment was awaited by the society not only on Ukraine but all over the world. That's a very diligent work of the international investigation group, which included the representatives of National Police, Office of the Prosecutor General and Security Service of Ukraine. This work resulted in resolution in 2019 on announcement of the 4 suspects who were involved in organization of the movement of the rocket system book from Russian Federation, specifically from the city of Kursk to Ukraine, and which resulted in targeting a military Ukrainian aircraft, but mistakenly they downed the Malaysian aircraft, which resulted in death of citizens of different countries. I would say it's intermediate resolution, intermediate judgment, and the investigation should be going on. The international investigation group should continue its work because the people, I would say that, so to say, the chain of command engaged in the movement of this air defense system to Ukraine, and including the crew who launched the missile, are not yet identified, and investigations should be going on in their regard. We all understand that the air defense system of such level, and based on different historic facts, we know that the resolution was always taken by the government, the higher command, the top level officials of the country, and I assume that when the resolution was taken, the President of Russian Federation and the Minister of Defense were involved in this process. Since these officials have immunity, the materials available to investigation group could be transferred to International Criminal Court, which doesn't have restrictions of immunity regarding to bringing the top-level officials to liability in case of downing the aircraft. And besides, I would like to say that this is also an auxiliary process which Ukraine takes part in both United Nations Court and International Criminal Court. It regards the Convention on Financing of Terrorism, which includes 5 facts, including the downing of Malaysian Boeing. Also, Ukraine joined efforts with Netherlands back in 2020 and submitted a joint case to the Human Rights Court, which considers these facts. Now, the Office of the Prosecutor General provided all the materials to International Criminal Court, and they are being currently considered. And I think the figures I mentioned, it's time to take care of them by the Prosecutor General. And now that investigation is taking place here with us after the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Yesterday the court recognized 3 convicts. One was pleaded non-guilty. What's the perspective of punishment for those convicts? And as to the one who was pleaded non-guilty, who was recognized not guilty, is it a good job of the lawyers, or is it under performance of the prosecutor? I would say that it's a position of the court, and it will be interesting to see the work of the Netherlands court, where Ukraine conceded its jurisdiction. And regarding the 3 citizens of the Russian Federation and 1 citizen of Ukraine, I think that the principle of inevitability of the punishment will be implemented through certain processes that I believe that Russia will go along the democratic way, and it will experience transformation, and we will be able to implement it eventually, or their presence in any of the civilized countries. The order will be issued for punishment as per the judgment of the court. What influence does the judgment of the court have, and what are the consequences for the people whose relatives suffered during that catastrophe? For me, as a lawyer, it's important to pay attention to the fact that the judgment of the court included something that Ukraine, in the number of international legal platforms and even in the society of Ukraine itself, there was a third that the aggression of Russian Federation started on the 24th of February. And actually, the court confirmed the doubts of many skeptics that the aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine started back in 2014. So we can say that the Court of Netherlands, by their judgment, they recognized Russia as the party to the conflict, which means that Russian Federation exercised effective control of those territories. It should not cast any doubt in the society, in the international community. The fact that the armed conflict is not an internal conflict, as they want everybody to refer to, but it's the international conflict, and unfortunately it's going on starting from 2014. Regarding the victims of the catastrophe, obviously it's one of the phases of rebuilding of justice, and we understand that none of the 3 convicts will not indemnify the amount claimed by the Netherlands Dutch court, and it will give an option for the relatives of the victims to appeal to other international institutions with demands to Russia, claims to Russia. And we're talking about the International Court for Human Rights for compensation for these criminal actions. Dear colleagues, your questions, please. Ukrinform, Irina Udodenko. It's known that apart those three known figures, 120 people were engaged in this case. Will there become convicts or they will evade justice? What's your opinion? I want to tell you that with regard to every actor in this criminal case in Ukraine and in joint case considered by International Investigation Group, there is a very thorough check, and all these people will face justice. Any more questions, friends? There are no more questions. I want to thank you, Mr. Gyunduz, for this expert explanation. Thank you for joining us. Dear friends, I will remind you our next briefing is at 1500, and we will talk about the situation in our energy front. So bear with us. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes.